My channel. This is Vic Samar, my first video. I got a lot to say and let's just get right into it. So this is going to be like a multi-part video because this subject is something that I'm looking kind of passionate about, plus a lot of different type of subjects, but I want to get into this one in particular, and I think I'm going to make like multiple parts. So we could say this is like part one. All right, so let's talk about the origin of DL men. Let's talk about how they're created. Let's talk about where they come from, like what's the tea about the DL men, and how to really spot if you're with a DL man. First, let's get into knowing what a DL man is. A DL man is essentially a male that is, they live their life as a straight individual, a heterosexual man, but unfortunately, they tend to be a homosexual, or they tend to be just a gay man. And there is a difference between homosexual man and a gay man, and I think I'm going to get into that in another video because it does deserve its own thing. And if you think that there isn't, I'm going to break it down for you and you're going to really be able to understand where I'm coming from. So yes, going on with the DL men typically tend to have, they live their life as a heterosexual man. So meaning that they tend to be in relationship with women, several women. They tend to, the relationship could just be like marriage or non-marriage, but sometimes they tend to have kids. The reason why a lot of them tend to have kids is because that is like a physical proof as to why they could never be gay, which I think right now, a lot of people are catching on and realizing, nah, that'll make you like not, you know, a homosexual or whatever the case may be. So those are the DL men. DL men exist all around the world, but a lot of women, I would say lately, have been trying to figure out, oh my God, is my man DL? How do I avoid a DL? Or they've been really stressed about it. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is not a new thing. It's never been a new thing. This is a product of society, and we're going to get right into it. Now we're going to talk about why DL men exist and how they actually exist. Let's get into the beginning, okay? I need y'all to understand this, okay? I will say, if we're going to wrap this up and just keep it a buck, this is always going to have to do with religion, and it's always going to be back with religion, but it is what it is. You guys have to understand, right? We have to call out our contribution to the society that we have now. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, we didn't make DL men become DL. We don't control them. Like, especially in the Western world, there's a lot of rights. Like, there's no reason for you to be DL at all. If that was the case, that would have been way too easy, my love. Let me tell you something, honey. This has nothing to do with, well, a little bit. Let's talk about the origin of DL men. DL men come from essentially a byproduct of grooming individuals, grooming young boys into being a man, and part of that means essentially being a heterosexual. It starts from the beginning. Now, the reason why it's hard for me to get into this topic is because it really just depends on the kind of person that you are. A lot of you guys are religious, so therefore you do believe that sexuality is a choice. I never understand when y'all say that, because if it's a choice, why would you be upset about a supposed DL man trying to be with a woman? They're trying to live a heterosexual lifestyle. Certainly it's not a choice then. And don't say it's because they're cheating on them with males. No, if you had known that your man had prior relationship with other men before they got with you, you would have been gagged. Let's be honest. So is it really a choice? I don't think so. But unfortunately, a lot of the religious folks believe that it's a choice. So it depends on how y'all want to go with this, right? But I'll tell you this right now. DL boys or DL men are created very much, they're a byproduct of the what is it, family dynamics or whatever you call that? I don't know, baby girl. But essentially, when y'all have boys, right, this happens to women too, but women or girls, they have more freedom with self-expression. They have more freedom with, you know, how they can identify and how they can, I would say, like, exist on this earth. Let's be honest. Oppression of women is very real, but when it comes to self-expression, they have that in the bag. Men don't, and it is their fault, and we're getting into it. But essentially, a lot of us believe that sexuality in general, well, homosexuality is a choice, and that the default is heterosexuality. That is not the case, my love. the way that humans interact with each other, that is just the reality. Like, you're gonna get somebody gay, you're gonna get somebody bi, you're gonna, at the end of the day, baby, when a lot of people always tend to discredit other sexualities because they do not reproduce. But I need y'all to understand, sexuality is not what creates babies. It's not. It's the sex. It's the male and the female. Very simple. If sexualities did not reproduce, then a lot of y'all would not have DL men as your baby fathers. I'm so sorry, my love. Let me hold your hands, but I'm really sorry. But yes, while you guys are trying to groom your kids to be straight, yes, I said groom because that's essentially what ends up happening. You groom a homosexual child to be a heterosexual child. And y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I mean by grooming. I mean that when your son is a bit feminine and you clock that, you immediately want to handle that. And you know exactly what I mean when I say this. You want to put them into intensive sports. You abuse them. You call your men to abuse them. You call your men to drag them to field, hit them. This is a very classic thing that happens a lot of the times in our society. Specifically in a lot of people of color society, but white people are also part of it too. So it's everybody, and we're all in this together. Hey. So naturally speaking, we also have to talk about the patriarchy. The patriarchy is obviously what we're led on here. You guys have to understand, part of being a boy, or part of essentially raising a boy, is to let them know their space in the patriarchy and what can affect them, what can have them be displaced from all that privilege, which is essentially being a homosexual. So you can only imagine, by the time that boy becomes 14, whatever, and they hit puberty or whatever the case may be, and they start to somewhat be emotionally attracted to other males, they're not going to want to be with other males, because why would they? You told them that it's a sin, especially if they come from a religious background. You told them that it's a sin. You told them that they're going to hell. You told them they're going to, I don't know, they're going to burn, basically. And then also, why would they actively want to live a homosexual lifestyle when it is at a disadvantage? Imagine being 6 foot tall. You are the person that plays basketball, smell good, you have strong jawline bone, and women are naturally attracted to you. Imagine wanting to, out of nowhere, dip in homosexuality. That's crazy. Even though you're attracted to the same sex, nobody wants to do that. And you know what's great? I want to go back to what I just said right now, like them not wanting to do that. A lot of the times, you guys don't understand that DL men in general, they are programmed. I said grooming. If you understand what grooming is, especially when it comes to girls, you would understand what I mean when it comes to this particular topic. A lot of them don't even know what they're doing is low-key wrong. They don't. They simply don't. That's why some of you guys think that, oh, you know, they're very much aware of what they're doing. They're not. As far as they're like, let me tell you something. There are so many timelines to fully accepting yourself as a homosexual. That's how, for me personally, I realized that I stopped talking to men, like heterosexual men or men that are not actively gay. I stopped talking to them like I think 6-7 years ago. Haven't talked to any in a long time. I'm being honest. I mean, like general conversation, like just sit there and talk to them. I haven't done that at all. And let me tell you why. I figured out that ever since I was young, when I was gay, I was always asked, why did you choose to be gay? I was really confused because I'm like, why would anybody choose this life? Why would anybody choose to be suffering, this suffering of a life? And then I realized that there was a time before I came out. Well, I came out pretty quick because I'm pretty stubborn. But before I came out, okay, hold on. I never came out to nobody. No shade. I'm like, baby, I'm fruity. That's all. But before I finally accepted myself, I should say, I'm not going to lie to you. There was a time where I thought I could cheat it. And that's a specific timeline that a lot of homosexuals go through before like fully accepting themselves. You think you can cheat it. You think if you just focus on being with a woman or you liking a girl or whatever the case may be, like it'll go away because, you know, whatever. And I realized that a lot of these men that ask me the question, why did I choose to be gay? I realized that a lot of them are still trying to cheat the system, especially at their grown ass age, being 20, 30, 40. And that's why I stopped talking to these men, because knowing what I know, baby, a lot of niggas out there are DL, and that's just a fact. I mean, like, oh my goodness, it really is a fact. So a lot of these men who, or teen boys or whatever, who are DL, they just believe that they're cheating the system. And some of them are so groomed to the fact, depending on how their childhood was, some of them are so groomed to the fact to believe that they're actually straight, that they might even be homosexual, but they don't even know what that is. They don't even have that feeling. They're just like trying to get through life. They're like, let me F these B words, let me get them pregnant, have multiple baby mamas. That's why a lot of them have so many baby mothers, because they physically cannot lock anybody down. They cannot stand the idea of like being in a house with a woman, living with them, sleeping with them, and constantly attending to a woman. That's ridiculous. They have no interest in that. And a lot of them don't know that they don't have any interest in that. Is the reason why they don't have no interest in that is because they're actually homosexual. That's the reality. I'm telling you guys, it varies. When it comes to being DL, some of them are actively trying to fight it, and some of them are just not aware. And that's just the reality. And I'm gonna almost finish this video here, but I also want to give you guys a simple mathematic. And moving forward, when I make multiple videos on this subject, I will be bringing this up multiple times. At the end of the day, when we look back at where this entire thing started, we can talk about religion, because it really is religion's fault, especially Abrahamic religions. Because Abrahamic religions introduce a lot of laws when it comes to gender. We are not as structured as human beings as a lot of y'all think we are. We really are not. We're all animals. We just are. And that's just a fact. Which is why there's a major difference between these organized Abrahamic religions and also spiritual religions, like, you know, what you find in Africa, or the Native Americans, or even in the original religions in Asia as well. They never had anything to do with homosexuality or gender, which is why you have a lot of people that are confused. You guys marry a lot of people, or certain kind of men, where one day they come out and they're gay, or one day they come out and they're trans. They've always been that way, baby. We just groom the kids to meet a specific identity, to which is, you know, if you're a boy, if you're male, you're gonna be a man. If you're a girl, you're going to be a woman. A lot of people they can't upkeep these things, you know what I mean? So that's why when it comes to, like, when we talk about the origin of this, I'm gonna bring it all the way back to religion, because the simple mathematic is this. In the West, right, when you have Christianity in the West, you have Christianity, it is a little bit more liberal. Why? Because there's a separation between church and state. So therefore, the women who live in the West, you are a little bit more privileged, because these men can come out and they can expose themselves, and they can say that they're, you know, hey, that they've been a homosexual in the middle of your relationship. That seems to be sad and unfair, but baby, I'm telling you, these other girls around the world, they do not have it like that. When you look, one of my favorite things is giving like real life examples, because the world is big yet small, but you can always look at another country that's a bit behind. And in this instant, it's not really a country, it's several areas. When you look at countries that are predominantly Muslim, a lot of people say that a lot of Muslims are always going to say, oh, we don't do homosexuality in our religion. That's not something that we tolerate. Now, after everything I just told you right now, the gays aren't gonna go nowhere. The homosexuals just find new ways to exist, and that's just that on that. It's a byproduct of what you want society to be, and they'll be that. Okay, the only difference is they're not going to abandon their desires. As a person who is a heterosexual, if you are attracted to men and you want men, you're not gonna abandon your attraction to men. That's impossible. Like, unless you work hard on that, and that's a lot of people out there, but these Muslim countries, right, as strict as they are, what it really, really means is these men are all going to marry women. There's no chance of them coming out. There's no chance of them, in a 20, 30-year relationship, they'll be like, hey, I'm actually gay. None of that exists. The more conservative society is, the less these men come out, because that's what society effectively wants. Their religion does not tolerate homosexuality. That doesn't mean anything. Well, it does mean something. It means that these men are just going to be all marrying women. And that's the funny thing about a lot of these Muslim societies, is if you're in the West and you think that this is a plague, honey, you would not want to live in those areas. Because when I tell you the norm, it doesn't matter how fruity you are, how feminine, it doesn't matter how much you like men or how much you do men, you're just going to end up getting married to this innocent little girl. And a lot of these girls, unfortunately, they get put into this relationship and they just get beat the hell up. They get beat the hell up every single day. And I mean, that's typical. You know what I mean? Like I said, when I talked about how you have to imagine it from a DL perspective, you're literally in the house with someone that you don't even live for. You're in the house with someone that you aren't even attracted to, and now you have to get intimate with them for no reason. So a lot of these men, they, in those kind of societies, they can get away with basically turning who they married, which was like their wife or whatever, they can turn them into a slave and beat them up, never being intimate with them, just have them be used as labor. And when it comes to at nighttime, they sneak around and go do it with their boys, their homeboys, and everybody knows that. You just have to understand that when the country gets more conservative, that's how the situation goes. These Muslim men, specifically Arab men, baby, I know my share way too well, boo. I'm not gonna lie to you. These men, the homosexuality within the Arab Muslim community is so high, it's filled up to the brim. It is really high. It's and we can get into Africa too. That's gonna be in another video. I'm gonna make multiple videos about that because I have experience with talking to a lot of men from Africa who are all basically DL, and I mean that's the life over there. And it's funny because you have a lot of African women that are petitioning to make it way worse for homosexual men, but this is what you're gonna get, boo. I don't know what to tell you. Y'all are making it worse on yourself. But anyways, this is the first part of the video. I'm gonna make several ones. This is so unstructured. I'm not gonna lie to you. I gotta use the washroom to go, do number 2, girl. I promise the videos that are coming again are gonna be a little bit more structured. I'm literally holding the phone with my hand, and it's like, I think I'm doing a pretty good job, but who knows? But this is gonna be the end of this video. I'm gonna make a part 2, a part 3, part 4, because I got a lot of shit to say, and I didn't even tell you how you can find a way to avoid them, but no shade. It's gonna be complicated, so that's probably gonna be our next video here. But anyways, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day, weekend, or time, and come back again so we can have a little bit more of a kiki. Mwah. Bye.